Okay, I've got like a more like specific question or like a scenario to answer that. So like I said, I was married for like a few years, and during that time, I didn't interact with a lot of people. He was pretty antisocial, so I became pretty antisocial, and so when I came back out of that, I had to reconnect with a world that I didn't know about anymore. And so during that time, like I just didn't. It was just a weird.
That was dark. You said 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
You just felt like the world changed that much?
Well, it did because dating apps came out during that time, and they
were you in a dungeon or something?
Like, I mean, basically, let me tell you, he was antisocial as fuck. And like,
was it fun?
No. I got divorced.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to our show, Your Platform. I'm your boy Drew, and we are Option Forward Podcast. I'm always joined by the second half of the show, GQ Nesto. How you doing today?
What it do?
You feeling kind of floaty right now?
Oh, you already know.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, today we are in for a very, very special treat. You ever see something or hear something and you try not to laugh at it, but no matter what, you find yourself laughing? All right, well, that takes talent if you are able to do that, you know what I'm saying, or that person that's giving that feeling, that emotion. Well, today we got joining us here to talk about how Pokemon and global warming just messed up her whole career with that. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Miss Andi Whiskey. How are you doing today?
Hey, thanks. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right. What time you wake up this morning?
7.
7?
That's sleeping in for me.
Do you have a morning routine?
I go straight to the gym.
Straight to the gym?
Yep.
Okay, what you doing in the gym? What you trying to do?
I used to be a competitive bodybuilder. Like, I am out of like season. Don't like look at me and be like, you. No, like I just had knee surgery, but I wake up every morning. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the gym for 3 hours every day.
3 hours?
Yeah.
One time?
Yeah.
All in one? Not like
3 hours all at once, yeah. No, I was there for 3 hours before I would go to work every day.
Was everything good in life at that time?
Were you okay? Clearly not. But I looked fit as fuck.
Yeah, okay. Way to clap back. You know what I mean? Way to clap back.
All right. But dang, I forgot. Okay, so you are a stand-up comedian, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how long have you been doing stand-up?
A little over 2 years now. So kind of new, kind of not. Been around a bit now.
Well, what got you started? How long have you been doing comedy?
So I started in Denver during the pandemic, actually. So like I didn't get to see like the hard part of the pandemic. I started a little after things started opening up, but I had like I call it my marvelous Mrs. Maisel moment. Like I actually like did not ever plan on becoming a stand-up comedian. I've been surrounded by them my entire life. Like my uncle was a stand-up, and I have a bunch of friends who are stand-ups in Northern California that I grew up with in high school, and they've started shows and stuff. Never once did I look at them and go like, I want to do that shit. In fact, I think mostly I was like, this is so cool. You're doing that. Never for me. But during the pandemic, I just hit a point of like traumatic shit happening to me that like one day I was like, fuck it. I'm getting on stage.
I got something to say.
That normally does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little inside joke. Yeah, I'm not going to say that.
Deal. You cold, but yeah, facts.
All right. So what is like your creative process, right? Like, do you sit and just write down random stuff, or is it like through what you encounter throughout the day? What's your process?
So like I'll make notes when something stupid happens where I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? Where I'm like, I'll write it down in my phone real quick, and then I'll go back later. Like on weekends, I'll sit and I'll just drink a shit ton of coffee, and then I'll migrate to alcohol a little later, and I'll sit at like a bar or something and just write stuff out. But
so you got like cliff notes of stupid shit.
I do, 100%. There's like notes in my phone and like the notes pad, and then I've got a whole like really nerdy system for it. Like I feel like I shouldn't embarrass myself and tell you guys how nerdy.
No, that's what this is for.
I use a project manager called ClickUp. Like it's what I use at work, and I use it for my comedy now, where I will like mark the status of jokes like writing or working out or this is shit.
So you have an Excel spreadsheet of
100%, and like I'll go back, I revisit. It's so nerdy, it's so bad, but like I'll revisit them. So like some days on like a Sunday, I'll sit down with some coffee and I'll just go back to a joke I've been doing for a while, and line by line go like, how could I make this better? And so that's a big part of it.
You're in there to win. That's what's up.
No,
that's
100%.
what's up.
So describe to us, or all right, it's the first time you're going on stage. Like, paint that picture for us.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, man, I was just telling him, like, I did it wrong. I'll tell you 100%. Like, I didn't do it the normal way. I told fucking everybody in my life that I was about to go do an open mic. Like, you are not supposed to tell anyone you know. Like, it is embarrassing as hell. Like, you tell nobody, you go do it, and then you forget about it for a while because it's too traumatic. Like, no, I told everybody, but I did it smart, like, in retrospect.
Yeah, like a Zoom call and everything?
No, so, like, it was actually an open mic at, I did it so wrong and so right at the same time. Denver has this amazing place. Like, I feel like I should, like, talk about it because it needs so much respect. There's a bar owned by a comedian out there, and it is a comedian's bar, and it is so cool, but it is the worst open mic to do, especially for your first open mic, because there are, like, 70 comedians in there who don't give a fuck about you. Like, they are not there to listen to your shit. And I did it there, but I had told so many people that I was doing it. I had literally people I'd gone and, like, I'd met on Tinder, and I invited them. Like, I had, like, all these dudes there and stuff. And I went up and did it. But the thing is, I had stacked the deck. Like, I had, like, 11, 12 people there that were there for me. So they're all laughing at me, like, pity laughs, right? But, like, they're all laughing at me. So, like, all the comedians actually were, like, paying attention. Like, who is this person up there and whatever. But I actually had jokes. Like, I actually had a structure where I think a lot of people start out with, like, nothing. And they just go talking to a mic. So, like, when I got off stage, I had one comedian friend who had helped me get into it. And I ran over to him. I was like, Scott, how'd I do? And he was like, fuck you. And I was like, all right. So I did okay.
But when you say structures, explain that. What do you mean?
So every joke needs a punchline, and I feel like a lot of comedians start out with no punchlines. They're like, this is a funny concept, and they've got this whole lead-in, which is like just, it's a good story, right? Like, you tell your friends and they laugh, but without a punchline or a twist, nobody's gonna actually laugh when you're standing on stage talking into a mic. Like, you need that twist, you need that little surprise to, like, make their brain, like, click when you tell a joke, right? And so I had that shit. I was pretty proud of it.
What was your opening? You remember?
Yeah. So I started off talking about, and, like, this is still such a good joke, but I don't tell it anymore because it's a comedian's joke. I talked about how it wasn't until recently, like, I was 30 years old when I realized that Patton Oswalt was not two people. Like, I literally thought it was two people, and then when somebody was like, "Yeah, Patton Oswalt's wife died," I was like, "They were both married to the same woman? Like, how did?" They were poly before it was cool. Like, how did that work?
That was a crowded room, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right. I know you said you had, like, family members who, you know, did stand-up comedy and stuff like that, but do you have any other comedic, like, influences?
Yeah, I grew up listening to, like, Bill Burr. Like, I don't trust any comedian that doesn't talk about Bill Burr. He's the comedian's comedian. But yeah, I was really into Bill Burr to the point, and Tom Segura. So, like, growing up, I had comedy just in my life, like, surrounding me constantly. Like, if something happened that was, like, dark or whatever, and, like, through the pandemic when things got tough, I didn't want to watch dark shit. Like, everybody was watching Ozarks and whatever, and I was like, I'm already in a dark space. Like, I don't need that shit. Like, unless I'm, like, actually going to start selling drugs, like, I ain't going to watch that. Like,
Right.
but it might get there, you know? I was, like, putting that in the back pocket. But, no, I was watching so much stand-up as, like, this coping mechanism of, like, I just need to, like, laugh at the end of the day because these days are not funny right now. Like, it's not good. And so I watched, like, a ton of Segura and Mike Birbiglia
Were you
growing up.
snacking on something?
Like food?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were snacking on something, no?
Like actual food?
No, I'm just saying the pandemic, you know, you're over here with some, like, you know, the little what is it, Pop-Tart, little tiny little Pop-Tarts that you just eat, you know, when you're nervous.
Cheesy rice is my comfort food. You take, like, the Mexican shredded cheese, right? And you put it over rice and you stick that in the microwave till it's all stringy.
So you were doing the cheese.
Oh, fuck yeah. Just sitting there with, like, strings of cheese with my rice.
No. I just wanted to make sure.
I was like, is that, like, code for, like, was I on drugs?
No codes here.
Yeah. Coming home after work all sad, just like, were you snacking on something?
Was it a pure thought?
That is a weird question, though. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, why do I even have to be snacking if I'm watching TV? No, that's crazy.
You call me fat.
Oh, silly, man. All right, but you said you use it like, you use your form of comedy as a coping mechanism, right? So, like you said, you either gonna have the punchline or you're gonna have the twist. So either you want the laugh, or do you want the thought? Do you structure your lineup that way, like your whole set? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'm gonna hit you with a laugh. I'm gonna hit you with some info. I'm gonna hit you with a laugh. I'm gonna hit you with some, but what actually works? You know what I'm saying? What would comedians say? Nah, man, don't go that route. Go this route.
Yeah, man, that's such a good question. It's something I'm still playing with. Like, you're constantly learning, experimenting to, like, get exactly what you're talking about. Where, like, I have some jokes that the crowd will pull back because it's so much, like, vulnerable information about me in that moment where, like, they feel bad about me. Like, they're like, whoa. And so I have to be like, don't look at me right now, you guys. Like, you didn't think the girl with the mic on stage right now didn't have a little trauma sprinkled into her childhood. Like, calm down. It's okay. You can laugh.
Yeah, that's yeah. I could understand that.
I mean, you've been on the stage before, right?
Yeah.
What was your experience like?
I was just scared. The longest 3 minutes of my life. I mean, I think it's just the whole, like she says, is like the whole of like kind of like seeing a dark situation and just kind of like laughing about it, because it is what it is. Nothing's gonna change it, so you might as well, like, life's a bitch, so it just depends how you dress it. So you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of the thing. Not a lot of people are gonna be like, oh my god, like, oh shit, like, is she here for therapy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of messed up, you know? Like,
yeah.
And the worst part is, like, you don't even know who to look. Right? Like, you
No, you're just like, I like staring down the crowd sometimes, but it can throw you off if you get, like, the wrong eye contact where you're like, oh, this person hates me right now. Cool.
I'm blind as fuck and I didn't see nobody. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, hey, I'm here.
So what happens? I think in life, as human beings, like, you know, we're afraid to put ourselves out there because of the rejection or the non-acceptance or whatever it is. But how have you ever went up on stage and just, like, totally bombed?
So much.
How did you deal with that the next day? You know, like, it's cool. You'd be like, no, I'll just be back next week. That's what you say while you're there in the moment. But then
she's got cliff notes. There's no way
she
she
bombed.
Oh, I bombed so much. Are you kidding me? Like,
maybe to your like expectations, but like, was the crowd feeling you? Like, now define bumming.
okay, so, like, I will say, so, like, I've got a really supportive partner, and he goes to all my shows, and he'll tell me all the time. He's like, you've never like, bombed as bad as you think you have, and I'm like, but that felt terrible. Like, my skin is crawling right now. But, like, it
was
is
cringy.
Yeah, like, but, like, I will walk on stage, especially, like, I feel like if you are not a white man, when you get on stage, you have to convince the crowd that you're funny, whereas, like, if you're a white man, you get on stage, you just have to make them laugh. Like, you don't have anything to, like, work against. And so I feel like there are a lot of times I walked on stage and my partner says he will watch the crowd as opposed to the other comics that have been up that night, and he will see some people just shut down and they're like, nope, I ain't gonna laugh at this shit, whatever she says, even though I'm making, like, whoever they're with, like, crack up or whatever. I will see those people sometimes. Like, I had one, I have a bunch of, you actually kind of mentioned some of them. Like, I've got a bunch of jokes about millennials, and I had, at my last show, I headlined some Gen X at the back of the room. This, like, woman, she crossed her arms and just was shaking her head my entire set. And the thing is, like, I had the whole rest of the room busting up, but that is all I saw was that woman who was so pissed.
She probably has, like, 10 cats at home.
Oh, like, 100%. She was not a happy person. But, like, it was all I thought about. Like, that's just what the human brain does, where it's like, this woman, like, hated me. And, like,
why is she here?
Yeah, why is she here if she doesn't think it's fun?
But then you win, though, right? Because you get her thinking.
I know, yeah. And, like, it's at the end of the day, you just, like, I don't know. It's an addiction. I gotta tell you, like, being on stage, like, you can have those really bad days and still, like, next day wake up, like, to answer your question and just be like, nah, I'd do it again. Like, it's literally like waking up with a really bad hangover from, like, drinking too much and being like, never gonna drink again, and then, like, later that day it's just like going hard all over again. It is that addicting. It's bad.
Okay, where do you want to, like, how far you want to go with this? Is this something that you consider as just a hobby at this point, or would you take it for a long career?
I'd love to take it as far as I can. I love it. Like I said, it's really addicting, and so I want to keep like honing the craft and seeing how far I can take it for sure. I don't know if I'm going to get like a Netflix special or if Netflix will even still be a thing by the time I get that good.
So were you like talking shit since day one? Like that's how you knew that eventually this was your calling?
I never knew that this was my calling. Like that's the thing is like I did not grow up being like I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. I didn't even think I was funny because I was surrounded by so many funny people, and so like I literally had to ask one of my friends one day. I was like, "Am I funny?" He's like, "You're fucking hilarious." I was like, "But you're fucking hilarious." He's like, "Yeah, but like you are too." Like it's okay because I just like was surrounded.
You're different
by
hilarious.
Yeah, and so I didn't think that this was gonna be a thing until I got on stage that first time, and like literally after that first open mic, I went back like 4 or 5 days later and did it again because I was like, I gotta do that as much as possible.
And did you use the same material? Or you switched it up?
I think that it took me about a week to keep doing similar material. Like I played with some different words and stuff like that. It took a long time to start getting like a lot of new material, and like also I tried going on stage with no material. Like when you start out, you try a lot of shit and you walk away going like, well, that was terrible. But
do you have like a particular poison that you use like to get like inspired?
Like what I do before getting on stage kind
of
stuff?
No. Kind of like when you're like the whole writing aspect of it. Like what triggers for you to kind of get on that? I mean, I know you said like you kind of have cliff notes all around, but like, is there like a setting or like, let me just go have like a friggin' Modelo and just chill and like what is it? What's your process?
I like going to a bar and getting nachos. I don't even know if I'll drink half the time, but nachos.
So nachos gets it going?
I don't know. Like I do that a lot, so maybe. But no, like I like good food and sitting there and being around people. I think it's actually the big part of it. Like being around like a bar.
So you're criticizing as fuck. You're just like, oh shit, I got a good one. Like,
I do just like watching people. I do think like the thing is like I probably come off as an asshole a lot of times, but it is literally just appreciation for like how weird life is. Like I think it's at the end of the day, like I try, and here's actually kind of my method at the end of the day is to like not hurt people in that like I want to make fun of me more than I make fun of other people, so it's my reaction to what's going on more often than not. And so
see, I told you that's really how it is. It's not like you're not being a pure asshole, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like let's see let's have some empathy and have some fun with it.
Yeah, life gets weird sometimes.
Yeah, no, but like speaking of that, like I always see like my view of a comedian would be either someone who tries to like drop knowledge the whole set, or they're just trying to make you laugh. But with that being said, you know what happened with Chris Rock, you know what I'm saying? But that brought up a lot. No, man, not laughing. I'm trying to see this is what I was talking about. I'm don't try to laugh. But no, like should there be an out of bounds? You know what I'm saying, for comedians?
Man, I'd say no. Like I want to say
that,
no.
right?
But I think like at the top level, I do believe no. However, I think hate is hate. And I think if you dress it up as like trying to get a laugh from it, I think it's still hate. And I do think that you should get called out on that, because I see a lot of that. Like I do comedy in Orange County. I have never seen like as much shit as I've seen.
Like that shit got dark.
Yeah. No, I've done comedy in like Kansas City and like Nashville, but Orange County is,
they're on some other shit.
They're on some other shit, but like I do think hate is hate, but I do think at the end of the day, the crowd's gonna tell you like if it was good or not. If it's not funny, it's not funny. Like they're not gonna laugh. But that being said, in Nashville, I do remember getting so angry because the crowd hated me, and that happens. But they loved all these comedians doing "I hate my wife" jokes, which are also so 90s. And like, just why? Why is that funny to people? But whatever, it is what it is.
Fuck them.
It's wherever they're at in life. I don't know. It's not mine to say, I guess.
That's the stupidest shit I've heard. Like
they were doing jokes about like literally they were doing jokes about eating pineapple to make their cum taste good. I was like, what are we in high school? Like I made those jokes in the 90s.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, so we know the name is Andi Whiskey. Like, is that your stage name? Is that your,
It's on my driver's license.
It's on your
No
driver's
way.
license?
Yeah, but I did change it. but I did earn it.
Like the whiskey part, or
my first name too. Actually, I've changed both names. I won't give my legal birth name, but no, I changed it over the years. But I've been Andi Whiskey since 2010.
That's like a whole process. Why?
Oh, it's a bitch of a process.
Why'd you do that?
I gotta prove who I am constantly. Where I'm like, no, I swear to God, here's me.
I'm not that whiskey.
No, here's the thing is like, so I got married ages ago. I don't recommend it, but I got married when I was super young, right? And I changed my name to his last name at the time, but at the time I was already going by Andi Whiskey, so like that goes back a lot further. I ran a skateboard magazine back in the day, and I went by Whiskey because a little bit just because one, I'd earned it. I would drink like fifths of Jack on my own at skate events. Like I was a terror, but like I also went by Whiskey because there was still a little bit of sexism in the scene, and people wouldn't carry my magazine in their shop if they knew it was owned by me. But if Whiskey's putting together this magazine, like yeah, they would carry it. It was weird. And so I was Whiskey on Facebook because that's how everybody like in the world. Like,
how was the other last name? Like, I mean, you don't gotta say it, but was it like?
No, it was cool.
Was it like Smith?
No,
like...
I had a good name. Like I grew up, people told me like, oh, your name sounds like somebody who should be famous. Like I grew up with like actually a pretty chill name. But I just stopped using it. Like I said, like 2009, 2010. And I went by Andi Whiskey. Well, I went by Whiskey, but then, like, I was Whiskey on Facebook, and then in 2010, 2011, Facebook was like, no, you need a real name. And it fucked over, like, you guys remember that time? It fucked over the whole skate scene. Like, I had friends that went by Salty and Stretch and shit, and it fucked them all over. They had to change their name on Facebook to, like, Salty, and I'm not gonna give his last name, and, like, whatever. But they had to, like, just Salty Jersey. Like, everybody had nicknames,
Salty
right?
Jersey.
Like, well, Salty and Jersey. Like, two different people, but, like, no, and so they all had to put, like, you know, their nickname plus their last name or something. So I put Andi Whiskey. And after, like, a year or so that I had high school friends, like, messaging me. And they're like, hey, we were just talking about you, me and, like, somebody else from high school. But, like, we forgot your real last name. We've just been calling you Andi Whiskey for a while. And I was like, I think that's just my real last name now. Like, I think that's just it. And it got to a point that when I got married, people thought it was my real last name. So they kept joking with my ex-husband. They were like, you should take her name. And so I took his, right? But like I took his last name, and it was also still a cool name. Like I will say, like both of my last names were very Irish. I sounded very, very, very fucking Irish. So I still do. It's like I'm on a trend here. But when we got divorced, I had a attorney. Like it was all super amicable. He's chill. I make fun of him on stage, but whatever. But when we got divorced, I told my attorney, he asked me, do you want to take your maiden name back? And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, yes. And then I was like, wait, no. Like, nobody's known me by that name or my married name for, like, 10 years now. I was like, can I just go by Andi Whiskey? And he was like, we can ask the judge. And then, like, so we literally had to, for a divorce in Tennessee, we have to go in front of a judge, in front of, like, an entire room full of people who are there for, like, domestic abuse cases and, like, other shit. And, like, my ex-husband brings fucking friends to this hearing, too, mind you. Like, it's a very amicable divorce, but he can't show up by himself. Like, he brings friends. So they're sitting there in, like, the front room while he's on the stand and I'm on the stand, right? And, like, I'm staring at them as, like, the judge is, like, looking through the paperwork, and he's like, so I saw in here you wanted to take your maiden name back. And my attorney goes, like, actually, Your Honor, she wants to change it to what she's been going by with her businesses and going by for the past 10 years. And the judge, like, starts flipping through the papers, and he's like, what? And my attorney's like, she'd actually like to change it to Andi Whiskey legally. And he's like, looking at the paperwork, he looks over at me, and then he starts to tell me, like, what he has to legally say. And he's like, by changing your name to this, are you running from any criminal activity or debt? And I was like, with this name? Like, I am now the villain. Like, it's... But yeah, just as I'm, like, staring down my ex-husband's, like, friends in the front row, like, yeah, I'm Andi Whiskey, I guess. Like,
okay.
It was a wild moment, but yeah, so name changed.
That was weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, just freaking going through that whole thing. Like, people go through, like so many different situations, but here you are, like, working your life through changing your fucking names and shit like that. like, no, not today, not Whiskey. Let's go by let's Johnson today. Like, That's
2
funny.
IDs.
Yeah, that's dope.
Kind of type.
I
That's
do
dope.
have like 3 IDs in my wallet right now with 3 different names.
Different passports and shit.
Different
too.
hair color, like you don't know if I'm a Russian spy or crazy.
That's dope. That's all dope.
In your opinion, like as far as like when you do your shows, are they all like open mics, or you actually have them like scheduled?
Oh, like I do mostly shows now. I try and like avoid open mics like the plague. I'll do, if I gotta work out new material, I'll do like a bar show. 'Cause
You want the
those are
real
terrible.
ones at your show, right?
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah. Like,
I want, bar shows are a nightmare though. But no, I mostly do just shows these days. Yeah.
any funny nightmare?
Oh yeah, I headlined a strip club in Nashville. And it wasn't until I
So
knew,
they were like laughing and horny? Like,
it was, I don't know, like it was wild. Like I didn't know what I was getting into, if I'm being honest. I think it was my first time I headlined, so like I was just eager to headline. I was like, oh, this is awesome, right? But it was like, but it's a strip club. It was supposed to just be comedians, and then after that, dancers started.
You heard
Right?
the cheeks?
Yeah, like we were just like, we were the fluffers. Like we were just like kind of, I don't know, it's a terrible idea, it is, but like at the last minute he called an audible, the producer of this show, and he put dancers up in between the comics. And, like, that is, I mean, it's one thing to follow a bad comic. It's another thing to follow a goddamn stripper. Like, and then to top things off, I didn't realize that Nashville was full nude. And so, like, I'm standing there, and, like, girl starts dancing. I had just started dating my now partner, but, like, we're fresh boyfriend, girlfriend, right? And I turned to him, and then I turned back, and it's just full-on butthole, like, in my face. I was like, oh, I didn't know. Like,
Were they serving wings?
No, there was no food. There was not enough alcohol. The hilarious thing about it all, too, is, like, we didn't know. None of the comics knew there were going to be, like, actual dancers in between the comedians. And then, like, the fucking pole had, like, streaks on it. And prior to the dancer going up, the comedians were touching the pole. And then we found out why it was streaky after the dancer went up. And I was like,
oh, that's pretty nasty.
So comedy gets weird sometimes.
There were sanitation issues as well.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's pretty nasty. Wouldn't want to be at that one. Would you say, like, as far as an order, like you said, you opened, would you rather be the opener or the closer?
I'm better at, like, featuring or headliners, and I think, like, good comedians know where they should be in a lineup. Like, until they're good to, like, headline, and I'm getting to good to, like, I'm, like, trying to work there. I can do small shows and headline, like, pretty well, but I'm a great feature. I am not a good opener because, again, like, when I get on stage, I have a very particular look, and the crowd already, like, makes up their mind about me before I open my mouth. So then I have to work against that, and if I'm opening, that's a lot of work to set up the other comedians. Like, we got to get them laughing, we got to get some energy in the room. So, like, I've opened and I've done okay, but I'm not a great opener, and I think good producers also know that, but I'm a great feature because I will take a crowd that's already a little warm, and as they're starting to get, like, a little tired in that, like, lineup because they've had a couple comics and stuff, like, I will bring that energy back up to set it up for that headliner, like, really well. And so that's kind of, like, the spot, like, the sweet spot for me right now.
Nice. What about you? Where'd you want to be if you, well, actually, when you start, we won't even talk about that, right? You don't want to talk about that?
No. I don't think I'm in the capacity of it.
All right. So now that, you know, it's out there, you know, you're taking it seriously, right? Are you expected to be funny even, like, at home with your family?
I think, so here's the crazy thing is like, I didn't think I was funny. I think I am, like, a little bit naturally funny, and I've just recently realized it. And it took me a while to figure out why, too, and it's because I didn't get, like, enough validation growing up, which is kind of, like, the classic story for comedians, but, like, I want that little extra something in, like, any
weird?
interaction. No, I was actually, like, so this sounds like humble bragging, but, like, hear me out. I was actually, like, super smart to the point where nobody paid attention to me because they were like, she'll just take care of herself.
So you were a nerd?
I was super nerdy. I was like I was a straight A student. I had a 4.3 GPA. I dropped out of high school at 16 to go to college. Like, I was very smart, but my family didn't pay attention to me. They paid attention to my sister because, like, she was a good student, but they would like, she would get more good jobs than I did, you know. And
what were your jobs?
Well, like, no, I mean, like accolades.
Like,
Can we do a
know?
compare and contrast?
What are you doing?
No, like good jobs, like you did a good job, like I'm proud of you, like moments, you know what I mean? Like I didn't get a lot of that, and that's fine. Like I understand why my parents would like give more of that to her, right now. But like my younger sister would get like more of that. We're proud of you, we're supporting you, whatever. Like I wouldn't ever get any of that because I was just going. Like I was good. Like nobody
May
worried
I ask
about
what's
me.
your sign?
Pisces.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It doesn't make any sense for
It doesn't
me.
make any sense because you guys are supposed to be very like
chill
emotional
and go with the flow.
like you guys get your feelings hurt easily.
Well, I do deep down. Like, don't insult me.
Oh, okay. So that's the same. That honestly, that's freaking courageous. That's pretty dope that you're actually like okay, like being freaking thrown into the sharks and then just talking shit and they laugh. You know, that's pretty cool.
All right. In your opinion, not like, do you think comedy or being able to do it, is it a gift or is it something that anyone can pick up the mic and just do as long as they develop?
It's a little bit of both. Like I've seen the natural talents out there where I'm like, can never get on your level. Like there's some psychopaths out there. Like on your everyone's radar should be Jordan Jensen. She's one of my favorite contemporary like comics right now coming up in New York scene. That woman is insane, and it's just natural for her. It's just the way and she works for it, like she does, like for sure. But I think it's a good mix of like you need some natural talent for sure, but you also got to work for it. But there are some of us that have less of the natural talent that just have to like work really hard for it at the same time.
Okay. All right. So, do you? No. I had like two questions in my mind at the same time. It kind of got stuck.
It was an awkward moment. Let's call it for what it is. It was like, interesting.
That was not the answer I was expecting, but if that's how you feel about it, Andy.
Let's proceed. Okay, where was I?
Moving on.
Oh man! All right, that totally just took me off my flow. All right, but no, I would say, or I would ask, like, okay, so maybe I think the beautifulest art or the most magnificent thing that you probably seen, like, or see or experience comes from a place of hurt. You know what I'm saying? And you said that you went through an experience and that got you going. What did you try any other alternatives, or like, you know what I'm saying, like journaling, maybe like skydiving?
Did you try therapy first?
No.
Did you write that shit in your fucking journal?
No, because you don't know. Like I said, art.
You think about just sharing with your friend first before you took it to a room with 30?
Did someone give you a hug?
Were you trying to fulfill the non-acknowledgement from your parents into your adult scene?
You took 30 minutes to get that out, bro. You're like punchline. That's funny. But no, was it something else? You know what I'm saying? Because like you're hurt. So what did you do then? What's the first thing you do?
Drugs. No, like, so it was I watched stand up. Like I watched stand up to calm me down. Like it was like my method.
Oh,
and
yeah, you did.
But let me chime in real quick. Do your parents regret not paying attention to you? Like now that you're actually popping?
I think they're a little worried about me being a comedian now. I don't know if they're proud yet.
They're ready for the intervention.
They're scared right now of what I'm going to say on stage.
You could say it's like your side hustle right now. You say you got an actual career because you like using like Excel and
right.
Office like 480 instead of 365. No.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not one of the struggling like comedians out there. I am very blessed to have like a supporting, let's call it a job that supports my comedy career for sure. But I wouldn't say my parents are very proud of me.
Are you doing better than your sister?
Can I say that? Like, is she? If she hears
Is she
this,
gonna watch it?
she lives a block from my
You would have to
parents, so
send it
you
to
can
her
just
if
like.
you
No, I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? A parent at some point is gonna like regret it, like, oh shit, like this was my winning like fighting bird. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I've got a whole bit that's literally in my little Excel sheet. It's titled "Disappointed Mom." So like,
Wow.
I mean, you could have been like one of her strong ones, like every like mom and dad tried to say like bullshit, like, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't need it, the other one did, but deep inside it's like, no, the other one had better potential. Like this one's she's a little slow to process, you know. But
Yeah.
so the answer?
I mean, like, I think they're a little proud of where I'm at in some parts of life. They definitely wish I turned out different for whatever reason, but I'd say like they've got no reason for that. Like I'm successful by a lot of measures, and like being on stage and being a comedian too. I think they have really mixed feelings about it, especially because like I said, my uncle was a stand-up comedian, but like my uncle has a lot of differing beliefs than them. I grew up super conservative. I grew up super conservative in Northern California, so like it, as you guys know, that's just like the Orange County of up there. Like it's just the same. And my uncle's just very liberal, and he did talk he talked, I want to say like loosely, he talked shit about the family, but it was just like, it was literally like what you do on stage is you just like, you make fun of like weird shit that happened. So like he would have jokes about how he grew up in Oklahoma, California, and like, you know, that's
so they're over there like squeezing their butt cheeks because she's just like, oh shit, what is she gonna say? What is she gonna say?
Yeah.
What is she gonna say? Ah, fuck, like, you know.
But like last night, I get a text from my sister, and she's like, "Did you know that our father started a Facebook page called the Squirrels of Downtown, like their town name?" And she's like, "We just found out, and he's been running this page for a month and a half, posting photos of squirrels he takes on walks to this Facebook page." And like, I know that everybody, like, cause she's no, I know, like that's a lot to digest. I'm still in the process. I found out my dad's living a double life, so like. And so I know that they know
he's got too much time on his hands.
Like, okay.
Let me walk the squirrel real quick.
No, it's hilarious. There's literally like a post on the page that's like, "Didn't see any squirrels today, but here's a photo of their cousin, the cottontail," and it's just a photo of a bunny like that he saw on a walk. But like, so like my sister goes like, "There's some more like material for your comedy," and so like they know like some of this stuff's gonna.
What
end
is
up
your
on
mom
stage.
saying about all this?
Oh, she hates it. Like I know she hates it. I haven't heard any of it, but I know she hates it. But like I've got some like positive. I try and like I said, like I try not to hate on the people in my life if I'm talking specifically about them, as much as like make fun of how I turned out because of the situation.
Your mom's like, I should have took some vitamins. I told you I should have never took that hit.
Well, why didn't you switch it up though? If you felt like they wasn't giving you, ain't nothing you can do about it now, but just hypothetically, right? So. Like, because you were the smart one, you know what I'm saying? It was 4.3, you know what I'm saying? Johnny Rocket just headed to space already, right? Why didn't you, like, start failing tests?
Well, I think actually...
Or how did you act? Did you act out?
I think that's my comedy. I think I started acting out by making jokes and being, like, the clown of, like, look at me, laugh at me. Because I didn't need that. I was getting straight A's. Like, you know what I mean? Like, comedians...
You were arrogant as fuck since day one. You're like, look at these idiots.
But yeah, like I feel like a lot of comedians, like the stories I hear is like they started acting out because they didn't get attention because they weren't good at things and they weren't getting attention. But like for me, it was literally the same. But it was just like the flip side of it is I was really good at stuff, but like people are like, she'll take care of herself. We'll just let her do her thing. So I would show up to family events and I would just make jokes the whole time to the point where I felt like I was being obnoxious and like I was like, I know that this is annoying, but fucking give me attention, like for something other than the thing that you expect of me, because everybody expect me to get another straight A and do another.
So you were
thing.
talking shit as you walked, huh? You're like, can't wait to see that. Like, that's cold.
But no, I think, I don't know if I read that, but you talked about the skateboarding.
Yeah.
All right. So you used to board, like, what's up?
Like
let's
good.
talk about that.
I will never claim to have been any kind of like a good skateboarder.
Many broken bones?
No, I've had 4 knee surgeries.
Okay,
I feel like
so
that
you were
kind of
good.
I was terrible. No, I was never good at skateboarding, but I'm a really good enabler. Let's put it that way. In that, like, I had a bunch of friends who were skateboarders, and I was skating with them and stuff. But like, I picked up a camera. This is, you keep calling me arrogant. This is probably a great story to just reinforce that. I picked up a camera and I started doing photos of them skateboarding. And one of my friends was like, you should submit that to a skateboard magazine. And my brain went, I could be in a skateboard magazine. I should start a skateboard magazine. And I literally, I never submitted my photos to a magazine. I just started my own. And like we were a thing in the downhill, I will say, the downhill like skateboard scene. Like I hung out with like Jay Adams back in the day, rest in peace, and like Christian Hosoi and the like I know I hung out with more like I just was really drunk at the time. Like
I knew I was kicking it with her.
I
said
think
Tony Hawk's.
yeah, somebody said I hung out with Tony Hawk, and I was like, fucking when? I think that was one of those nights that I finished the 5th of Jack. So like, it's just.
Hey, thug life.
So what was that like? I mean, because, you know, this was some time ago. So, like, how was you publishing it? Who was doing the work? Like, was you doing everything by yourself?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a little bit of, like, I'm a workhorse. Like, I do a lot and whatever. So, like, I did all the graphic design. I'll say it's one of my proudest things that I've ever created. I've created a lot of stuff. Like, I'm actually, like, a world-renowned photographer in my industry. Now, I will say my skateboard photography was shit. Like, I should not have been in any magazines, actually. But my design for the magazine was great. But, like, I actually created a little crew that we ran this magazine out of Oceanside. And it was pretty chill. Like, back in the day,
Hold on, wait. You went from Sac to Oceanside?
So I've moved, I think, if I counted right now, probably 20 times in the past, like 11, 12 years. I grew up in like the Sacramento area, and then I moved down. I went to CSULB, but then after that I went to Oceanside, and then after that, like I said, I moved to North Carolina, then Portland, Seattle, Nashville, Denver, and then back, because those places suck.
Nice. So, and so you got the career, you got the stand-up, you got any other side hustles, any other hobbies that we should know about?
I mean, the bodybuilding, like, I don't do that right now. I don't have time. It takes a lot of commitment, but I did get on stage a few times. I took home trophies, so, like, I'm good at that, too. Does that count for anything? Give me validation.
I want to make sure, I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the knee. You know how somebody says something, like, repetitively, like, so I want to make do you
the
feel
knee, like her knee.
No, because
like
her knee.
Oh,
What other thing is there?
I was like, do you have a tear meniscus? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I did, and then I had surgery.
How did that happen? Was it through training?
So I've had 1 surgery on my left knee and 3 on my right. I literally was like a tri-sport athlete.
Was it like domestic violence?
No.
What? Wait a minute.
No, I just did all the sports. I did basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, and skateboarding growing up. Like, I just went hard, and my body's not 100% built for it.
So how's the rehab going? When we gonna see you back on stage? Like?
Oh, man, like, probably not in 10 years, but I'm training for it now. Nah, I've lost, like, if I stood up right now, my right leg literally looks like half the size of my left. I've just, like, lost all the muscle. Like, it's lost all the muscle. Like, I'll show you all later. It's weird. But
like nerve damage?
No, it's just when you have, like, knee surgery, you, like, overcompensate. And so my left leg still looks fine, but my right leg, I haven't been using the muscles right, so it's gone. Like,
you know we're gonna get old, right? Like, she's gonna be bad. You know what I mean?
I'm planning on dying soon, hopefully. I can't afford to get much older.
Make sure you don't miss. You can't. You're gonna be retarded as hell. Like, oh shit! Like, what happened? You can't say it's an accident.
And then you suffer even more, live even longer. While in this vegetative state.
No, I've done enough at this age. I can't keep going.
All right. I got a hypothetical question for you. Right? I'm gonna call this the elimination game. You gotta eliminate one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So in this game, your 3 options are: gotta eliminate one. Cell phones, sports, or music. Which one are you eliminating and why?
Cell phones, 100%. I don't want to talk to fucking nobody. I will lift weights and listen to music all fucking day. Don't talk to me.
How do you think society will handle that?
I don't know. So, like, okay, I've got, like, a more, like, specific question or, like, a scenario to answer that. So like I said, I was married for like a few years, and during that time, I didn't interact with a lot of people. He was pretty antisocial, so I became pretty antisocial, even though I'm a very like extroverted person. And so when I came back out of that, I had to reconnect with a world that I didn't know about anymore. And so during that time, like I just didn't. It was just a weird.
That was dark.
You said 3 years.
3 years, yeah,
And
yeah.
you just felt like the world changed that much?
Well, it did because dating apps came out during that time, and they
Were you
had
in a
not-
dungeon or something?
Like, I mean, basically, let me tell you, he was antisocial as fuck. And like,
was it fun?
No. I got divorced. Like, what do you...
Was it fun?
I'm just saying, like
I left him for a reason.
You left the people to just go chill.
No, like, it was terrible. But like, I came back and dating apps were a thing now. So before that, I was super extroverted, and I always have been except for during that time. Apparently, it was just weird. But I was super extroverted. So like, I used to go to bars and I would talk to whoever was in like a 10-foot radius. Like, that's what I was known for. Like, that's just me. Like,
10-foot radius.
No,
like,
I'm that person. I'm a problem. Like, it's just there are certain people that go to bars to like drink alone, and like they don't want to be near me. Like, I'm the one that's just like, so how's life? Like, but I came back after like getting divorced and came back to like a world where swiping on people was a thing, and people only went out if they had seen the stats on Tinder. And I had no idea. I thought Tinder was the gay one. Like, I had no idea that like Tinder was a dating app. Like, I didn't know anything coming out of that divorce. And so I would sit down at bars to meet people again, and they didn't want anything
you
to
were
do
out there
with
with
me.
vengeance.
Oh, I was. To be fair, I was probably out there like not thirsty for like dick, but like thirsty for attention.
Where's this going?
Right? No,
What was the question?
Okay, but the point was, so like I would be sitting in these bars and like people would not want to talk to me, and I realized after a while, of course I didn't blame myself for this, but no, I realized after a while it could be because they were used to, like, especially dudes at bars, because like there are not a lot of girls sitting at bars by themselves, right? And like dudes at bars were used to, like, before talking to a girl, seeing her stats. Like, does she want kids? Does she not? Is she liberal? Is she conservative? Like, they knew everything about
All
her,
of that
right?
is on these apps?
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah. Okay, you have not been on the
no,
apps. Like,
I'm
you.
not.
So, like, people are so conditioned to be like, left, right. And, like, here I'm at the bar, and they're like, I can't fucking swipe on her. She won't shut up. Like, it's just like, they were like, I don't know her stats. Like, I just feel like it changed where they were like, I don't want to talk to you until, like, I know, like, basics. And it was weird. Like, I ended up, like, getting on the apps, like, briefly, and, like, that was a nightmare. And so, like, I feel like without that, we would connect more in person again, like, still. Because I know back in the day we did. Like, I would hear more about somebody's, like, family life than I ever wanted to, sitting at a coffee shop. But now people just aren't that way as much.
Dang. That's crazy.
Do you like take vitamins daily?
What is your thing with vitamins?
No, I'm just saying.
Are you a supplement rep? You're like, I got
Like,
this.
you got a lot of fucking energy. That's what I'm like. Fuck.
It is extrovert. Like, that is all I am. I am by definition. Like, I get.
like you're like a morning person, huh?
Oh, I am, and I like being around people is where I get my energy. Like, I need to be around people. I don't have to talk to them all the time, but like I get my energy from being around them. I'm just like a little succubus there, just sucking up the energy from being in the room with them.
Yeah, that should. Yeah, I could see that. You have a very active aura.
It's strong.
Those are a couple ways to put it.
Yeah.
Some people use other words.
Like, oh shit, she's out.
Uh-huh.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the conclusion of our show. We always open up the microphone and table of discussion to our guests and to our hosts. Today, we're going to start out with our guest, Miss Andi. Is there anything you would like to share with the listeners and viewers? Anything you would like?
Man, something that's been on my mind a lot lately. So like I said, I just moved back to LA after being gone for 12 years. And especially if you guys have a lot of listeners in LA, like, I've heard a lot of hate from people who live here, and I feel like y'all should appreciate it more. Like, I have lived, like I said, in North Carolina and Nashville and Portland, Oregon, and like Washington, just fucking everywhere. And the cost of living here actually is pretty comparable. I'll say that right now. Like, if you live in a city anywhere else in this country right now, I'm saving money by moving here from Denver right now, which is crazy. But I feel like if you just stop for a minute and, like, look around, like, LA is beautiful. Like, there are flowers blooming everywhere. You've got palm trees. Like, we don't have that in Denver. Denver is just, like, dead. Like, it's just, like, desert. Like, there's nothing. And, like, they got mountains, which is cool. But you got mountains out here, too. Like, when there's not smog. You can see that shit, and it's beautiful. Like, I feel like I wish LA appreciated the amazingness of the city a little bit more, which I know it's, like, human nature to, like, gripe about your situation and everything. But after living for 12 years all across this country, like, this place is sick. Like, the people here are awesome. Everybody's doing something cool. Like, I love that. And so I just, like, encourage everyone to, like, take a moment and appreciate that you're surrounded by a bunch of doers. You're surrounded by blooming plants and agriculture that, like, is making, like, cows that actually taste good. Like, you got, like, the grocery stores here, like, actually have fresh food. Like, we didn't have that in Denver. Like, our spinach was wilted by the time it got to the shelves. Like, it's different in other places. So, like, being a little appreciative of how cool living in California is, like, man, it's great here.
Most deaf. GQ Nesto.
Well, shit, hey, she can't be wrong on that. Like, for sure, you know, we're definitely blessed to, you know, live in California, even though it's expensive as fuck. But
Yeah.
I think we definitely want to thank all of our listeners, and you know, just keep supporting. You know, keep doing what you're doing. we need this platform to, you know, elevate, and we can all relate to some capacity. So, you know, let's cherish that, you know, and yeah, that's it.
That's it. All right, most deaf. Well, I think they said it all, then they said it best. I'm your boy Drew. We are Option for a Podcast. We see you guys next time. Peace.